I'm going to get started today. I believe everybody has logged in now, but I'm Katie Frazier. I'm a recruiter for Arkansas Center for Data Sciences. If you don't know what ACDS is, we're a nonprofit dedicated to building and retaining top data science and IT talent in the state of Arkansas. So through that, we offer a lot of programs and opportunities, and that includes webinars like the one you're attending today. So first, I want to introduce a few key individuals. We have Marie Stacks, our Director of Operations. So she's here to help us run the show today. If you have any technical difficulties, you can shoot her a message in the chat and she can help assign you to breakout rooms or help you get on mute or off mute. And then I also would like to introduce Bill Yoder, our Executive Director. So before we jump into our agenda and go through everything, I asked Bill to kick off our conversation and share his favorite interview tip.
Thanks, Katie. Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to take a minute and reinforce the fact that ACDS is here to help with the demand and supply gap that we've got in IT resources in the state of Arkansas. And to that end, to the employers on the webinar, consider us a resource that supplements your current staffing strategies. To that, we don't compete, but we complement and supplement for no extra charge. For the talent candidates on the call, we provide access to Arkansas employers who are willing to hire the right individuals with potential, given the proper classroom and on-the-job training for the specific skills they require. Now, I want to thank everybody for your prep time and your participation this morning. And Katie and Ashley challenged me to leave you with one last thought. And a wise person who's on this call told me once that it's not that practice makes perfect, but that perfect practice makes for optimal results. So here we are. Everybody enjoy the session and we look forward to your feedback. We appreciate you. Thanks. Katie?
Thank you so much, Bill. Well, Marie, if you want to move on to the next slide, I'd like to go over the agenda. So we're going to start off today going through some resume and interview tips. We won't take too long on that. But we do want to set you up for success in our mock interviews that will follow. So we have some great partners on the call with us that are going to be in breakout rooms to help go through a mock interview with you and give you feedback. And then we'll have room for question and answer at the end. So just a few housekeeping, some house rules. It's best to stay on mute while we're going through our interview tips, just so there's no feedback. So thank you everyone who already put themselves on mute. You're welcome to add any questions as we go through in the chat, and we will address them at the end when we have our open discussion. If you have any questions, you can raise your hand. Ashley is raising her hand on there. Ashley, do you want to chime in or just showing an example?
Just an example.
Perfect. If you're in a room with two people, when we go into our breakout rooms, go into listen only mode while we're interviewing the other candidate. And so that'll give them time to speak and you time to listen and learn. I think one thing that I want to really stress on today is don't be nervous. We're here to learn and practice, as Bill said. You know, we have a lot to learn from each other, and we can really pick up a lot of different skills throughout this today. So for our interview, our company partners that are on the call today, we have everyone's career link, and we will share that with our candidates. We do ask that you don't ask about current openings because we want to spend a majority of that time on interview preparation and improving your skills. So there's certainly a lot to learn today. So the goal here is the interview process, but that starts with resumes to get that first interview. So Marie, if you want to click on to the next slide. So resume tips. I will admit I'm a little bit of a resume snob. I look at resumes all day and I have a few pet peeves and I have a few tips that I want to share today. So my biggest pet peeve is when I get a resume that isn't tailored to the job description. Now, what does that mean? It's common misconception that you just develop a resume and you can send it out to any job that you are applying for. But that's really not the case. When you are applying for a position, you want to make sure you tailor your resume to that position. So if, for instance, I graduated from the Coding Academy and they taught me great skills to go into data analytics or development, I really would want to tailor that resume for either position. So if I am showcasing my skills in SQL and databases, I would want to emphasize that and put those projects highlighted on that resume. If I'm talking about my coding projects and I'm applying for a developer position, I would want to emphasize those projects on my developer resume. So don't forget to customize that objective that goes on the top of your resume. You want to keep your resume to 1 to 2 pages, no more than that. It's really easy to go over, but there's some little tips and tricks that you can put your header and your information, your address, all that into the header. That'll save you a lot of space and keep it at 1 page. Using bullet points will really help you condense information down to really hit where the eye is going to directly draw to on a resume. Using black and white fonts, it's classic. Don't put a picture on your resume. It's distracting. You don't want to have too many graphics. I know some people will put logos of their school or different certifications. So just as a best practice, avoid that. Do not use the typewriter font. That is one of Ashley's pet peeves. You choose Times New Roman, Arial, something that's clean, easy to read, and keep it throughout your resume. Don't change your fonts up a bunch. And then most importantly, this is my favorite tip, is include a skill summary. That is the first thing I look for when I look at a resume, and you can see an example of a skill summary below at the bottom of this PowerPoint. But put down if you know all these different languages, put down if you've had experience in web development, if you have Photoshop skills. It really helps an interviewer learn what you can do quickly, because you only have so many seconds when you're looking at a resume to really catch somebody's attention. We do have on the next slide a couple different examples of resumes that I really wanted to point out quickly. So you see in these resumes, there's a lot of information and they make good use of the space. So it fills the page, you're able to put up a lot of information, and something you may notice from it is that relevant experience is on there below the skill section. And I think that kind of shows that when you're going through a resume, you want to highlight those skills first, just because that's one of the first things that an interviewer will look at. I think another thing that you can do is you can put projects on your resume. These don't have a project section, but if you didn't necessarily have a job with relevant experience to what you're applying for, a project section helps showcase those skills that you have. So great. Now, Ashley, do you have anything you want to add?
No. I think you really hit it. I think, just to reinforce. So for one position, especially if you're applying to your larger organizations, for one position, there could be 200 applications. So corporate recruiters, they may have 30 plus positions each. And I don't do math very fast, but that's a lot of resumes to review. So you really want to make sure your best in a 5-second glance of your resume. You could get it denied just for not hitting spell check. So really look at tailoring your resume as best you can, and hopefully that will help your chances of getting that interview request. All right, so hurdle number 1, as Katie mentioned, is your resume. So then either hiring manager or recruiter is going to decide whether you go into the yes stack or the no stack. And the yes stack typically goes to a phone interview. So I'm going to kind of jump into some interview tips. We understand today is for practice purposes. Please know that, our company partners, they're donating their valuable time. They all have tons of email, probably still backlogged from yesterday and the last week, that they have, agreed to donate their valuable time to share their expertise. So know that their, feedback is a gift. We are all participating in this call because we want to help and we have best intentions. So please, take our feedback and know that we have best wishes and, wanting to help you rather than, getting defensive. All right, so to kind of jump into interview tips, number one thing not to do is multitask. I actually had a candidate order their lunch at Taco Bell while on a phone screen, and it was for a senior developer position. So please don't multitask. Be very mindful of your background noise. An interview should be undivided attention, whether it's on the phone or whether it is on a video conference. Sometimes, especially if I was in a crunch, I may call a candidate and do an impromptu kind of interview. And when you're not expecting a call or interview, you may not be in the best location or state of mind. It's okay to tell the recruiter, can we reschedule for a time where I am better prepared? Now, if it's scheduled, you should know and already be ready to go. Number two, kind of do your research. Especially since everything is online these days, there is no excuses for you to not be able to know somewhat what they do and what this position will entail. A good tip for an interview, have their website pulled up or have, on your kind of cheat sheet, just a few notes about them. Because what if they ask the question, tell me about what you know about our company, or why are you interested in our company? Those are kind of some common interview questions that you could get. Be the interviewer, and let me make sure, don't ask too many questions, but always in an interview, be prepared with thoughtful value add questions. I've never been a fan of the question, can you tell me about the day-to-day duties of this position? To me, that shows that you didn't read the job description. You don't even know what you're applying for. A better way to rephrase that could be, can you tell me what the majority of my time would be spent doing and what technologies I would be utilizing? Or can you share with me a project that I would be working on? So just have, thoughtful interview questions. Take notes. If you're going to a live interview, you always want to bring copies of your resume, a notebook, and a pen and paper. Kind of a good cheat would be, those questions. We said those thoughtful questions to have prepared. You could have that written down on your notebook that you're taking notes for, to kind of reference. Turn off your phone. That means turn off your phone, not vibrate. Because it probably will go off. Your friend will text you during the interview. And it's just a little distracting. So best practice, if you can, turn off your phone. Avoid long, rambling responses. As a recruiter, that is really hard for me, as you may know. Typically recruiters are stereotyped as liking to talk, but you really want to be mindful of, a phone interview may only have 30 minutes. 10 minutes of that, the hiring manager or the recruiter is probably going to be sharing with you details on that position or going over your questions. So in reality, you may only have 20 minutes to showcase your background and convince that person that you should move forward in their interview process. And interviews at the end of the day, it's kind of all about assumptions. Your interviewer is making assumptions based off of how they interpret what you say. So that's why you want to practice, is you may, just based on how you deliver a response may not be how you mean. And that's what, we're here to do, is give you that feedback on, maybe another way to rearrange or deliver that response. So Zoom interview etiquette, the new norm, video interviews. Be mindful of your background. Had an interview last week to where, it was a clean living room. That was fine. But there was a laundry basket sitting on the couch. I don't know why. I don't know if it's the mom in me or that I'm always behind in laundry, but I just kept staring at that laundry basket. It was just distracting. You want all the attention on you. Dress for the interview. Don't wear pajamas. So if you have pajama pants, that's fine, but just don't stand up. But just, take every phone or video interview serious, because, a first impression could be your last. All right. Marie, how are we doing on time?
Doing great. We're about 20 minutes in, and everybody's got an assignment on their room. So that part's good to go.
Yay! All right. Any last minute questions in regards to the breakout rooms or the mock interviews that we're about to jump into? All right. If there's no questions, green light go, Marie.
Awesome. All right. Well, we're going to send you guys off to your rooms. There's going to be one interviewer and one candidate per room. For those that I had to switch a couple folks around, so you may have an ACDS person as well included in there. So just a heads up, but let us know if you need anything. You can chat to me directly through the chat, or if you need to hop back to the main session, you can always exit out of the main session. Ashley, do we want to bring everybody back after about 20 minutes?
That sounds like a plan.
Oh, we had a great question in our room. When you're using the STAR method, do you say this was the situation, this was the task, action, result, or do you paint a story? And so I think it's important when you use the STAR method, don't get too lengthy. You don't want to lose the interviewer when you're explaining a story, but you don't have to be so prompt as to say, this was the situation, this was the task, action, result. You can tell them a story in your own words. So that was a great point that was brought up.
So from our hiring panel, does anyone still utilize the STAR method? I know Blue Cross Blue Shield. I heard from a candidate that they still utilize this interview technique, and UAMS. Does anyone else?
I do not use it, no.
Anytime we have a behavioral interview question, that's the structure of the answer I'm looking for, yes.
All right, so candidates, if you're applying for Windstream, Blue Cross, or UAMS, just for awareness purposes, be prepared on that type of interview structure. Candidates, is everyone just going to be shy? There's nothing that you want to know or how you can better your chances of getting that interview request and job offer? All right, so do you reach out to the candidates for opportunities? So for my time as a corporate recruiter, unfortunately, no. You must apply to that specific position. Again, it's a volume issue. And Curtis, I may get your opinion on that question as well, but at the end of the day, you've got to apply to the specific job position. Occasionally I would have time to share a job with a candidate, but sometimes it's just a bandwidth time. Curtis, what about y'all at Simmons?
Yeah, for the most part, it's fairly similar to that. I mean, for our HRIS system in the first place, we have to be able to show we track somebody in terms of, through each step. So it's important to have applied to that position. However, as a recruiter and just being mindful and trying to as far as memory goes, trying to remember people's skill sets and where they would be good fits. There has been on occasion where I'll reach out to somebody because I've spoken with them in the past. I feel as a new position comes up that they would be a good fit for that, so I may call them. Or in the middle of the interview process, we've interviewed for one position, but something else came up in the meantime. I may just present that to them if I feel that they would be a good fit for that. But that's going to be in a rare instance. For the most part, it's still important to go ahead and actively apply for those roles rather than wait for the recruiter to get in touch with you just because of the volume aspect of it.
All right, so we've got a new question: how to answer a question if I don't know the answer for a question. Anyone from the hiring panel want to jump in and tackle a good way to respond to a question that you don't know the answer to?
I may just add, just let us know you don't know. I know from my hiring leaders, they come back to me and they say that they appreciate that if they don't know it. But always mention you'd like to research and connect with them after the interview. And we've had candidates that in the past have sent us an email and follow up saying, hey, I did the research, I learned the answer to that question, and here's what I found out. That's that extra step that is really neat as well to see. So don't be afraid to say you don't know, but ask for their contact information and that you would like for them to, that you'll do that research and get that answer here in the, next X amount of days.
Yeah, and actually I would follow that up with absolutely say that you don't know. And then if it's something like a certain coding skill, then say that you're excited and willing to learn that. That might even lead into an opportunity to ask about the kinds of training opportunities that the company has available.
Absolutely. So Sherry, while you're off of mute, this next question is it okay to contact HR if you've applied for a position and haven't gotten a response within a week or two? What is at Merkle kind of the typical timeline on, once they apply, reaching out? And then how do you feel about candidates reaching out to you or the HR department for status updates?
You bet. So I think it's, if you are actively interviewing for a role, it's fine to stay in contact with the recruiter that you have interviewed with. If you are applying for a role and then you've applied through the ATS, the career site, and then you go on to LinkedIn and maybe you've got a contact there. People reach out to me all the time and say, hey, I applied for this role. And I'm always going to get back to people when they do that, if they are or are not a fit. That's just my personality, and that's the kind of relationship that I want to have with people. So I think it's fine to do that. If you don't hear back, don't continue to email and in-mail and all of that. Occasionally Merkle gets a request sent into like just the HR box. Hey, I applied for a role, I haven't heard anything. They'll get that to us in the recruiting department, and someone will follow up. That's sort of a long process though. That doesn't really work very well. But if you are actively interviewing, don't be afraid to reach out to your recruiter for status updates, because any recruiter worth their salt's not going to ghost you, and they're going to get back to you and let you know, yes, you're a fit or you're not a fit.
So we also, just in case you haven't seen it, there's a note as well from Doreen to be sure to log into the ATS to see if you've got a response there. I don't know if Isaac, if we've answered your question, or if you might still have one, you're welcome to unmute. We'd love to hear your question.
Yes, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, so I guess it's kind of a specific question, but I'm gonna try and be like as quick as I can. As a recent information systems graduate, my thing is my degree kind of focuses on a lot of business related things and a little bit of coding. But I know that depending on the job offer, like the job that I'm applying for, there may be more of a coding tailored, it may be more coding situated. So it was somebody that maybe didn't get as much coding as I feel I needed. With the entry-level position, should I be out there paying for like Udemy courses online, doing some learning on my own? Or is an entry-level position, or employers looking to just see that I have my degree? How would I fit on a team? And then would I do most of my learning like on the job training wise?
I mean, I don't mind speaking to that as somebody that sees a lot of resumes for entry level and brand new college grads. Any additional coursework that you went out and gained on your own will make you stand out. It doesn't, to me, that does not matter where it's from. We value learning and lifelong learners here, and anything additional you did will make you stand out. And so especially Isaac, it sounds like you may think there are some things you still need that you didn't get. Absolutely go and try and find those resources.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And one thing to kind of chime in, because I actually kind of learned this from our friends at First Orion, to where kind of in their interview process, the importance of projects. And I'll kind of, Kathy, do you want to kind of jump in?
Yes. Sorry, I just could get my unmute on it. Yes, it's very important to have your projects on your resume and or be prepared to talk about your projects, because what we found as far as entry level is we would like to find out your skill set and how you utilize that. So if you tell us, that you have Python and SAS and if there's not a lot of work history, then we're going to ask you to explain to us within your projects how you use those particular skill sets. And also highlighting your projects on your resume will give us an understanding of why you feel that you do have that skill set. So I think it's very important to have that in there.
Yeah, I used to support an IT software engineer hiring manager that he didn't want to see the resume. He only wanted to see a GitHub profile that showcased those projects. So Isaac, my recommendation, instead of paying for a boot camp or there's so many free online tutorials and trainings. Check out MIT. Has free training, and do a project for fun. I think I saw that from First Orion. I want to hire a developer that is passionate about coding, that enjoys to do it for fun in their free time. So my recommendation would be, congrats on great job completing that degree, but really to set yourself apart, you've got to have some projects to speak to. Because I think a company will be very hesitant to invest a full-time job offer to someone that hasn't actually coded or created something from start to finish.
Right.
And I think we had another question from Harsh.
Yeah. So hello everyone. My name is Harsh, and first of all, I would like to thank Arkansas Department of Data Science for this whole event. It helped me a lot, and I would like to thank you. So my question is, 2 weeks ago, I saw a position in my dream company, which is Robinhood. So it was basically a data analyst position, and I saw all the qualifications. I thought I would be a great fit for this position. So I applied for the position online, and I also decided to cold email cold email few recruiters about it to know more about the ins and outs of the position. So it was a highly personalized email, not just a template, not just a general template of cold email. So I sent it to around 8 to 10 recruiters, but none of them replied. So it's been 2 weeks since then. So like what should I do now? Like, should I send a follow-up email again, or like basically what should I do to make them reply to my email? So like I cold email a lot, but I like never receive replies from like I hardly receive any replies from HR or anyone from the team. So like what can I do to improve this process?
Is there anyone from our hiring panel that hasn't spoke that wants to help give guidance on, what he should do when applying to his dream job? He's reached out to him on LinkedIn and not gotten a response.
Yes, I can try to jump in on that.
Right.
So just from being active on LinkedIn and knowing a lot of recruiters from there, I know you said that you personalize each message, and so that's great. My only question would be, what was your ask? And it sounds like if nobody responded, there may have been a heavy ask. There may have been like what can you do for me kind of ask. And I think with LinkedIn, especially, you want to show that you can provide value to that recruiter and to their company. So if you can say, I saw this position, I'm interested in it. By the way, here's how I think I can contribute to that. Maybe focus on that more if you're going to do a cold outreach like that. Another suggestion is you have to kind of think long game on this, but another suggestion is instead of leading with an ask, go ahead and connect with that person on LinkedIn, send a personalized connection request that you can do, and just follow them for a while. And especially if they're active on LinkedIn, engage with their content, like their content, comment on that. And then as they start interacting with you, then later on, you can do your ask.
I have a question.
Yeah, Caleb.
I'm sorry,
and I do want to be mindful of everyone's time, so this will be our last question. So hope it's a good one, Caleb. I'm sure it is. But if you have any follow-up questions from our candidates, feel free to send those to me, Ashley French, and I will work to get you a response. All right, Caleb?
I think he might have gotten dropped off.
Right. Well, I will just follow up with him directly. To our company partners, any closing tips or words of wisdom? Thank you so much for dedicating your time. I apologize, we're running a couple minutes over, but just to kind of close us out, if there's anything that you would like to share to help their job search.
This is Kathy from First Orion. One thing that I would, like to say to all the applicants when they're applying is you're going to be very eager coming out of school, and you're going to want to land a job. But just make sure that you are applying for a position that you are adequately, sized with. Don't apply for a position just to do that. I stress that, and that we do see that sometimes, and you're better to wait until you see a position and a company that you would like to work with, because remember, this is going to be a career field for you, and hopefully a long-time career. So just make sure when you're applying that you are, a qualified candidate, and that also might help kind of lessen you getting a reply back from that particular recruiter.
Yep. And keep in mind too that we're getting hundreds of applicants, and so sometimes it is a little difficult for us to reach out to everyone. So patience, and again, I can't stress enough to go back into that applicant tracking system. A lot of times we'll leave messages there, and applicants don't realize that they can log back in, and you'll see a place where we might have disqualified you, or we might tell you that maybe the job was even put on hold. So do utilize that applicant tracking system.
Definitely. I agree with that too.
Just don't give up. It's searching for a job can be a full-time job in and of itself, especially when every position, you need to tailor your resume for that. So you're going to have all these different versions of your resume. It's very time consuming, and it's something that all job seekers deal with. You're going to apply for a lot of positions and not hear back from a lot of positions, and it can really be a downer. But just don't give up. It's really tough right now. Try and keep your head in a good place, and spend that extra time upskilling yourself even more, which is probably the last thing you want to hear as a new grad, to do more. But like Ashley said, there's so many free resources out there, and take advantage of them, and just don't give up.
And the one other thing I will say is in the time we are right now, 99% of our interviews are being done video conference. So that might be the new norm for a while. It seems to be. So be prepared. And if you're nervous in doing video conference, practice, because you want to make sure that you're prepared, for that.
Right. Any other closing remarks from our company partners or tips before we close out? All right. Oh, Lisa, join organizations and network. Absolutely. So, blame it on COVID. Right now, the job market is really tough. So like Sherry says, don't get discouraged. Use this time to network. Think about, because we kind of gave you insight on how many applications there are for one position. Use the Who You Know network and get out there. We Arkansas Center for Data Sciences hosts a free virtual happy hour. It is BYOB at your discretion. It is on the third Thursday, called Tech After 5. It is on our calendar to sign up for on our website. There's also, go to meetup.com. There's a Google developers group that you can join for free. I think there's also maybe a cybersecurity group as well. So check out those opportunities to